Super awkward Funcast. You're listening to the Super Awkward Funcast. Yeah.
'Cause I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now. Flew me to places I've never been. Till you put me down. Oh, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now. Flew me to places I've never been. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground.
We have trouble because, welcome to the Super Awkward Funcast, first of all. That was the opening song. Don't copyright strike me, you. So, yes, in celebrity news, which is also, it also happens to be Lively versus Wayfarer news, because there was something on the docket that was quite alarming recently. So here's the update to the story that I covered in the last episode of Van Champ. Thank you, ma'am. If you have not listened to it or watched it, then go do that when you can. So here's the story. We're going to wrap up this part of the podcast pretty soon because we have a lot to get into. This is Eileen Reslin on May 24th, 2025, 11:50 a.m. in page 6. This is kind of like going over something from a Daily Mail article, which is paywalled. So this is what I found instead. Taylor Swift insider who leaked Blake Lively's alleged threat to release pop star's private texts revealed. So this was based on the docket, on a document that was sent to Judge Lyman in the case of Lively v. Wayfarer. If you don't remember that, here we go. Here's the docket. But it started with Blake Lively saying, you know, we are, yeah, right here, this thing. It was a response to this, which is in a different district. District of Columbia is where the court is for Venable LLP, which is representing Taylor Swift, and had a subpoena that they wanted quashed. And then Lively Parties comes in and intervenes and says, hey, by the way, in this other court that you have nothing to do with, Judge Lyman, we have decided to send a motion to quash. And then we had the response, which was the Wayfarer parties and the allegation that I'm getting to right now, which says Taylor Swift's father, Scott Swift, reportedly went to Justin Baldoni's team with the bombshell claim that Blake Lively threatened to leak his daughter's texts if the pop star did not publicly support her in her ongoing feud with her It Ends With Us co-star. Scott Swift did not want his daughter to be dragged into this any further, and he voluntarily gave up this information as part of a deal that would include Baldoni's team withdrawing their subpoena for Taylor, an insider alleged to the Daily Mail Friday. Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, made the alleged threat public in a court filing last week, claiming Lively's lawyer, Michael Gottlieb of Wilkie Farr, brought the demand to Taylor's law firm, Venable. The documents alleged Gottlieb demanded that Miss Swift release a statement of support for Miss Lively, intimating that Miss Swift refused to do so. If she refused to do so, private text messages of a personal nature in Miss Lively's possession would be released. The docs claimed Lively also asked Swift to delete their messages. Then it says Friedman doubled down further in a sworn affidavit, saying he spent an hour on the phone with a person very closely linked to Taylor, who revealed the information. Scott's identity was not disclosed at the time, but he did, I remember in that filing, say that he would give up the name if the court wanted him to before it was struck because of improper abuse of the docket, basically, like improper jurisdiction, wrong judge, even though it's replying to them, and then also litigating in the media, basically, like it was a PR battle in the docket, and the judge was not having it. He's kind of sick of it. Anyway, Gottlieb, meanwhile, told Page 6, we unequivocally deny all of these so-called allegations, which are cowardly sourced to supposed anonymous sources and completely untethered from reality. Sure, Jan. An insider backed Friedman Friday, though, telling Daily Mail that it seemed Lively's team tried to extort Taylor by threatening to release private information about her so that she would support a narrative that she was not a part of. Page 6 reached out to reps for Baldoni, Lively, Taylor, and her dad, but did not immediately hear back. Scott's reported efforts to protect his daughter come after her boyfriend, Travis Kelsey, also pledged his allegiance by unfollowing Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, on Instagram because of the ongoing drama. Allegedly. We don't know exactly why. Despite all of the back and forth about the alleged threats, though, the judge in Lively and Baldoni's case, and others, there's plenty of other plaintiffs and defendants there, ruled that those allegations are inadmissible in court, calling them improper and irrelevant. Baldoni then promptly dropped his subpoena against Taylor in what appeared to be a shocking legal move, given Friedman had argued for months that the Grammy winner played a role in Lively's alleged attempts to assert her control over his client's 2024 film. In Baldoni's and all the other Wayfarer people, I guess, in their $400 million extortion and defamation lawsuit against Lively, which he filed after she sued him for sexual harassment, it was alleged Taylor and Reynolds were present for a meeting about script rewrites in which the Wayfarer Studios co-founder felt pressured to follow the powerful star's notes. The message could not have been clearer. Baldoni was not just dealing with Lively, he was also facing Lively's dragons, two of the most influential and wealthy celebrities in the world, who were not afraid to make things very difficult for him, Friedman alleged in the complaint. The dragons thing comes from Blake Lively herself. Despite those claims, an insider hinted to Page 6 recently as to why Baldoni's team ultimately chose to drop their probe into Taylor. When information is voluntarily received, there is no need for subpoenas, the source cryptically said. The information now appears to be the claims about the texts. The lover singer, for her part, has maintained she had nothing to do with the It Ends With Us drama. Her rep previously told Page 6 Taylor Swift never set foot on the set of this movie. Nobody said she did. She was not involved in any casting or creative decisions. She did not score the film. She never saw an edit or made any notes on the film. She did not even see It Ends With Us until weeks after its public release. Good one. And was traveling around the globe during 2023 and 2024, headlining the biggest tour in history. Now that wasn't necessary, Tree. We didn't need to have that little bit at the end, but yeah, we get what you're saying. So yeah, there is this celebrity news, the news regarding the Lively v. Wayfarer case. There are plenty of things to catch up with in the docket. If you want to go ahead and check that out, I'm just going to refresh it real quick and see if there's anything there. Nope, nothing. All right, so on to the next thing. I wanted to get to, let me wait for this plane to go by. But there's another case that's ongoing right now, a trial, and it ain't Kara Reed. I have not been following that, but I am following the Sean Combs trial. And if you remember the Maxwell trial, Comey was involved. Maureen Comey was the prosecutor. Well, guess who's back? Back again. Maureen's back. Tell a friend. So she's back in a racketeering case involving multiple parties, yet there's only one that I see on trial and have heard of being charged and indicted. I'm sure D-Rock is, like, they're totally going to go after D-Rock next, who keeps coming up in the testimony. But for now, it's just Sean Combs, just like it was just Gail Maxwell, a little while ago. And just like that trial, it seems like we're barely scratching the surface of the information. I gotta change it to, let me just go to Sean Combs, so we can just have something to look at while I'm talking. So, yeah. Basically, what's happening is it's a show trial. It's very similar to the the Maxwell trial, in which we're getting very little bits of pieces here and there, but not the whole story. And it seems, from what I've gathered, that both sides seem to be presenting it as if the freak-offs themselves were just a swinger party, basically. Like, nobody else was there. It was just Sean and Cassie, his girlfriend, whom he was cheating on his girlfriend with at the time for quite a long time. But, yeah, it's a whole big mess. So if you're following that, you would know that you're not getting all of the story. There's celebrities that have been linked to these freak-offs. There's video footage. I want to get to that, actually. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you. So, shit like this.
We want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did it.
No. I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, just let's just put the camera this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even, I don't want it to come close to the bed, at all. I should look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. I should.
Fresh off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes. And we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid. Listen.
We're having a good time, yo. Oh, your usher made it in the... Hey, yo.
Okay, like, why are we not talking about this shit? Why isn't this... Kevin Hart has not been mentioned once. So his Beats was, and he's in a different video where there's allegedly going to be a freak-off. An actual freak-off. Which is not just escorts and Diddy in the corner jacking off to his girlfriend being railed. Which is what they are claiming is a freak-off. I think we're not getting the whole story. I don't know what to say. Another one. Let's go. Hold on. Yeah, y'all know what I want. You know it. You know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, this will be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, who needs the front shot of this?
Man.
Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, you come down there, you gotta, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right, 16.
You're not ready.
16.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down, Jess.
Okay.
Let's slow down, okay?
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when when you get 16. You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Then, when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay. I get the mansion.
Yeah.
So where are we off to now?
Where would you like to go?
Wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. you know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he
Yeah.
signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you wanna do? What you wanna do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang with some girls.
A man after my heart. That's what I'm talking about.
Fuck his parents, by the way. Fuck the Biebers for pimping him out to Hollywood the way they did. I don't care if nothing happened with Diddy, which is hard to believe. It's 48 hours, buck crazy, whatever he was saying. I'm sorry, but they keep pretending that he likes chicks. And I'm sorry, a dude who likes chicks doesn't beat the shit out of them all the time. And rape them, allegedly. This dude hates women, from what I can tell. I'm just saying. Like, I'm just looking at what is happening. A recent development was a former assistant. We all know her name at this point, but I'm not going to say it. Of Diddy's, Sean's, Puff's, whatever. Who came out and said that he was late to an episode of Chelsea lately, and he was high on that show. And I've seen him look high on other shows as well. I mean, she also said that he sexually assaulted her and abused her over the years. And the defense, which is horrible, they are doing a horrible job as of today, the 30th of May, suggested that she had a great time. She was enjoying herself and everything, and she's all about him on the Instagram. So what gives? Why is her demeanor so different now? I don't know. Trauma, and I don't know. She buried it because that's what she said, and she was his employee. And I'm sorry, if you're going back to someone who raped you, allegedly, yes, that is suspicious, but if you're employed by them, and if they have intimated to you that they would use force against you and others, and maybe even kill you, which is what was suggested in the testimony, then yeah, you might want to be on their good side. And also you might want to be on their good side anyway, because abusive people are very unpredictable and scary. Anyway, let's see if we can find that Chelsea lately clip, because it's crazy. And remember, this is when he was alleged to have done horrible things to people. Abusive, maniacal, just horrible dude.
My next guest's anticipated debut CD, Last Train to Paris, just hit stores last week. Please welcome Dirty Dirty Money.
And Dawn Richard is there too, and she did testify as well in this trial. But since she had a case against him, some of her testimony didn't come off as. And that's going to keep happening because a lot of the people involved that are willing to come forward have had a relationship with him that is somewhat professional and had money involved and were helpful in covering up the crimes and stuff like that. So it's very complicated, complex kind of situation. But anyway, let's see his high ass here. Also keep in mind that Chelsea Handler dated 50 Cent for quite some time. So that's important to remember. So she knows a little more than the average person, I'm sure, about his demeanor and his behavior.
Chelsea, I have been waiting to get here.
Seriously.
I'm talking about, man, it feels so good to see you face to face.
It's interesting that you've been waiting to get here because I've been waiting for you for an hour.
Chelsea,
Thank you, ladies, by the way, for being on time. I appreciate it.
That's right.
And you, girlfriend, need to work your
check this out. Baby girl, good things come to those who wait. You feel
All
me?
right, I hear you. So what is your name, Kenna?
I'm Dawn.
Dawn, okay.
Yeah, and I'm Kalina.
Kalina, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
And what is your name now?
That's a very nice dress you have on right now. My name is Sean.
Your name is
Chelsea.
Sean. Okay, I don't know what we're calling you these days. Diddy?
That's all right.
He did it?
All the
Okay.
above.
So tell me about this group, because he's not solo right now. This is a thing, right? This is a group.
Yes.
But not a thing like that.
No, not sexual.
Not sexual.
Only if you're involved.
You want
Only if
oh,
you're
yeah,
involved.
really? Girl, you want to
That's what I've been waiting on.
Oh, I like that. Thank you. There's so many opportunities in my position.
Oh, and yeah, take that exactly how you
Yes,
said it too. So
exactly.
many
All
opportunities.
right, Gloria, calm down. Okay, wait. So you guys have never more of like a brother-sisterly vibe,
Yes, yes,
right?
definitely.
Okay. And how did you? So this is like clubby music, like Ibiza style.
No, it's not exactly that. It's hip hop, soul, pop that I've been doing like all my life, but it's evolved. So you have the influences from from Harlem to Paris to a certain club in Ibiza called DC-10. That's not the regular trance type club, and it's just really like everything I've learned as a producer and just evolving the music instead of having it just fall on the floor.
Right.
Really just trying to create a new sound that goes with the story of love, and love is constantly progressing and has that intensity, and so we call it train music.
And so you're in love a lot.
Yes, I am. I must admit that I'm the what's that girl? He's just not into you.
He's
You know what? He's a hopeless romantic.
Yeah, I'm the girl that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need...
He's the girl.
Really?
Yeah,
He's the girl?
I need the... I need... But all this is not gonna work. I mean, all what you're doing right now, I mean, you need to just come on and give in, baby. It's all right. All of that, it's not... I mean, you've never met me. I know you've heard different stories and things about me, but this is it live in the living color. And this love thing, you gotta understand for me, is like my kryptonite. It's like I haven't been successful at it, but it's like I need it.
I get it. You need it. We both have a passion for vodka. We have that in common.
Yeah.
Sean, I mean,
Ciroc, boys in the building.
no, you're not gonna convert my ass. Are you kidding? I'm Belvedere all the way.
You have to spend time with
Am I
us.
coming to the what?
Release party.
I don't know, when is it?
Okay, it's tonight.
Okay.
And we're gonna convert you.
With that dress and with
With
the
that
dress.
dress.
Okay, well, I'm a little scared of you girls right now.
I'm gonna tell you the thing about Ciroc. You drink the Belvedere, we call it AKA the PP. No disrespect.
No disrespect, girl. No.
I mean, the girl. I mean, for real, like the girl thing. I'm not really feeling that. I mean, it's not.
Wait, can I just tell you?
It's not
Can I just tell
inviting.
you? Wait, Sean.
I will pull out my schlong here right now.
Can I tell you that he was very late today, and I'm looking out my office window. I'm like, if he's not here, I really have to go somewhere. And I'm looking out my office window, and I saw you jump out of your Suburban and come in because the paparazzi are always outside, and they're waiting for me. And I actually saw the look of a little bit of fear in your face. And I like that look of fear. I would like to give you that look of fear again.
You know what it was? I've just been so excited to meet you. It's not the same as like with everybody else, all the other black men that's trying to meet you. It's more like just you like cute to me and cool. And I just want to eat a cheeseburger with you and watch a movie.
I thought it was interesting also during that interview where it's the two members of the group, Dirty Money at the time, are kind of just like adding to what he's saying or trying to get their own point of view in there. And it's just like there's something off about the interaction and the fact that he kind of doesn't acknowledge them and they're only acknowledged by the hostess. So that's interesting. Anyway, so that's my thing about Diddy, Taylor. Glad she got her master's, by the way. Taylor Swift today. But she's still with UMG, which is lame. So once she gets out of the UMG contract, let me know. That's probably not going to happen. Okay, next we got the Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is a thing that exists. So that's fun. Passed the House. Has not passed the Senate yet. A little worried about it. A lot of people are worried about it. There's some provisions in there that are suspicious. And Elon is no longer working for the government, so there's that. Let's take a look at the text here and see what we got. See if we like it or not. I don't think we're gonna like it, but we'll see. Anything is possible. Probably not that, though. Okay, it says here it is known as a reconciliation bill and includes legislation submitted by 11 House committees pursuant to provisions in the FY 2025 Congressional Budget Resolution H-Con Res 14 that directed the committees to submit legislation to the House Budget Committee that will increase or decrease the deficit and increase the statutory debt limit by specified amounts. Reconciliation bills are considered by Congress using the expedited legislative procedures that prevent a filibuster and restrict amendments in the Senate. By the way, before we get into this, let's check on the U.S. debt clock. So that's surely not going to be bad looking. We're not at 37 yet. Nope, 36,917,305 and counting. So we're getting there. Doge is in there still. So it's happening somewhat. We're getting there. Title 1, Committee on Agriculture. This title addresses a wide range of Department of Agriculture programs, including by changing the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and extending programs authorized by the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, commonly known as the 2018 Farm Bill. This is interesting. So it says, Subtitle A, Nutrition. This section prohibits USDA from increasing the cost of the 30 food plan based on a reevaluation or update of the contents of the TFP, i.e. the market basket of goods. Further, any annual adjustment to the cost of the plan must be based on the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers. As background, USDA created the TFP, the cost of purchasing a nutritionally adequate low-cost diet, which is used to determine maximum monthly benefits under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. USDA calculates the cost of the TFP each year to account for food price inflation. Maximum allotments are set at the monthly cost of the TFP for a 4-person family, adjusted for family size. Under a provision of the 2018 Farm Bill, USDA must reevaluate the market basket of goods every 5 years based on current food prices, food composition data, consumption patterns, and dietary guidance. This section expands the applicability of work requirements for SNAP recipients who are able-bodied adults without dependents. As background, these SNAP recipients have work-related requirements in addition to the general SNAP work registration and employment and training requirements. Specifically, the section amends the exemptions to this requirement. First, the section applies the work requirements for those people to adults who are not over 65 years old, whereas these requirements currently apply to adults who are not over 55 years old. Second, the exemption for a parent or household member with responsibility for a dependent child is restricted to a dependent child under the age of 7. Currently, the child must be under the age of 18. This section includes an exception for a person who is 1, responsible for a dependent child who is 7 years of age or older, and 2, married to and resides with an individual who complies with SNAP work requirements. In addition, the section specifies that current exemptions set to sunset on October 1st, 2030 will sunset. These exemptions from the ABAWD work requirements are for homeless individuals, veterans, and certain foster care individuals, those who are 24 years old or younger and were in foster care on the date of attaining 18 years of age or higher age. This section modifies the ABAWD waiver program's allowable state exemptions. Under current law, the waiver program allows state exemptions based on an area having an unemployment rate of over 10% or an insufficient number of jobs. This section amends the exemption to require the unemployment rate to be based on the rate for the county instead of the area. Further, the section repeals the provision that allows a state exemption if that area does not have a sufficient number of jobs. Under current law, a state agency may exempt up to 8% of SNAP recipients from the work requirements for each fiscal year. This section reduces the percentage of exemptions a state agency may provide each year so that the average monthly number of exemptions does not exceed 1% of covered individuals, SNAP recipients, and certain individuals who were denied SNAP benefits due to the work requirements. This section limits the availability of the Standard Utility Allowance, SUA, for determining SNAP income eligibility. Specifically, only households that include an elderly or disabled member may be considered automatically eligible for the SUA based on participation in the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LHEAP, or LIHEAP, or a similar energy assistance program. As background, when determining a household's eligibility for SNAP, states consider the total shelter costs for a household, including the cost of utilities. States can use SUAs, which are standard amounts that represent low-income household utility costs in the state or local area. Currently, all LIHEAP participants who receive a minimum benefit are eligible for the SUA for determining SNAP income eligibility. This section prohibits household internet costs, monthly subscriber fees, from being used in computing the excess shelter expense deduction for the purposes of determining the size of household SNAP benefits. This section establishes state matching fund requirements for the cost of SNAP program allotments. Currently, the state match is 0%. Beginning in FY 2028, any state that has a payment error rate that is less than 6% must contribute a 5% match for the cost of SNAP program allotments. A state with a payment error rate that is at least 6% but less than 8% must contribute 15%. At least 8% but less than 10% must contribute 20%, and 10% or greater must contribute 25%. This section reduces the amount that USDA may pay a state agency for administrative costs for the operation of SNAP in 25% to 25% of all administrative costs from the current 50%, thereby increasing the state share of administrative costs from 50% to 75%. This section modifies the general work requirements of the SNAP program to cover individuals who are over the age of 17 and under the age of 65. Currently, the general work requirements apply to individuals who are over the age of 15 and under the age of 60. That's crazy. It also exempts parents or members of a household with responsibility for the care of the child who is under the age of 7, under the age of 6 under current law from the requirements. This section requires state agencies under the SNAP National Accuracy Clearinghouse to use each indication of a multiple issuance of SNAP benefits to prevent multiple issuances of other federal and state assistance program benefits. This section reduces the tolerance level to 0% for a state to exclude small SNAP payment errors in the calculation of payment error rates. As background, the SNAP Quality Control System measures how accurately SNAP state agencies determine a household's eligibility and benefit amount and determines overpayments of benefits and underpayments. Under current law, the Food and Nutrition Service must set a tolerance level for excluding small payment errors in the calculation of payment error rates, $56 or less in FY 2024. This section requires that the calculation of payment error rates include all SNAP payment errors. This section eliminates the SNAP Nutrition, Education, and Obesity Prevention Grant Program. This section limits SNAP benefits to individuals who reside in the United States and are a citizen and or an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence as an immigrant with exceptions. Currently, SNAP eligibility extends to additional individuals who are classified as an alien under federal law, including an alien who has qualified for conditional entry under the asylum and refugee laws. This section also extends funding for the Emergency Food Assistance Program through FY 2031. It provides food, commodities, and cash support for storage and distribution costs through states to local emergency feeding organizations or food banks. And then it has subtitle B, Investment in Rural America. And this one doesn't affect me as much, so I won't go through too much of it. The SNAP thing is a big deal. And it seems like Republicans all the time want to just put as many work requirements as they can on things, on everything that they can, so that it makes it harder for people to get by when they are unemployed through no fault of their own. Alright, just a bunch of other stuff here. Forest Service stuff. Committee on Armed Services is in here. Just everything. Big, beautiful bill. I don't know about the beautiful, but there's a lot of shit in here. This section provides additional funding for FY 2025 for various military weapons systems, including hypersonic, air-to-air, cruise, and anti-ship missiles. Just more military-industrial complex bullshit just attached to this reconciliation bill. Committee on Education and Workforce. Let's get to the meat of this crap. Loan repayment. This is important. This subtitle revises loan repayment options for federal student loans. This section terminates all current student loan repayment plans for loans disbursed on or after July 1st, 2026. The DOE or ED may only offer borrowers two options for repayment of federal student loans: a standard repayment plan with the length of the repayment term determined by the total amount borrowed, and an income-based repayment plan to be known as the Repayment Assistance Plan, or RAP. This section eliminates economic hardship and unemployment determinants beginning on July 1st, 2025. It also reduces the total period a borrower may be in forbearance, which, by the way, I am right now because of shenanigans in the government. A borrower who is serving in a medical or dental internship or residency program may be eligible for a forbearance in which no interest accrues for the first 4 12-month intervals. However, interest begins to accrue for any subsequent 12-month interval. Now, you would have everybody on your side pretty much if you did what you should fucking be doing, Congress, and make it so that there is no accruement of interest at all. No interest on student loans. Like, everyone can agree that it's ridiculous how much interest. I have $3,000+ since 2016 when the loan term ended. So, fuck that. Get rid of interest and people will be way more on your side. I'm just saying. This section allows borrowers to rehabilitate a defaulted loan twice, currently only once. However, beginning on July 1st, 2025, the borrower must pay a minimum payment amount of $10. You know what? I think that's kind of fair, to be honest. I'm not in default mode. I don't have defaulted loans. but I do think that that is a decent way to do things. I don't think that is bad, to be honest. This section allows payments under the new repayment assistance plan to count as qualifying payments for purposes of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The section also specifies that a public service job for purposes of the PSLF program does not include time served in a medical or dental internship or residency program by an individual who, as of June 30th, 2025, has not borrowed a federal direct plus loan or a federal direct unsubsidized Stafford loan. This section provides FY 2025 and FY 2026 funding to ED for administrative costs, and then Pell Grants is in here. They're making changes to that. This section requires foreign income that is exempt from taxation or foreign income for which an individual receives a foreign tax credit to be included in the adjusted gross income calculation for purposes of calculating eligibility for Pell Grants. Students with a student aid index that equals or exceeds twice the amount of the total maximum Pell Grant are ineligible for Pell Grants, regardless of their adjusted gross income. This section also increases the number of credits needed to qualify for full-time enrollment in order to receive Pell Grants. This section prohibits a student who is enrolled in less than half time from receiving a Pell Grant. I guess I'm lucky that I got my Pell Grant when I did. Because it was for community college and it was for a pretty short amount of time, but it did help a lot. This section's changes take effect beginning on July 1st, 2025. This section requires ED to award workforce Pell Grants to students enrolled in eligible workforce programs. Eligible programs are those that provide at least 150 clock hours, but less than 600 clock hours of instruction during a minimum of 8 weeks, but less than 15 weeks. Okay. That will take effect on July 1st, 2026. Then more stuff about Pell Grants. They are increasing funding for Pell Grants, which they can totally afford, I'm sure, from all the Doge. Alright, this subtitle creates a new risk-sharing framework for IHEs. Accountability. Okay, nice. This section requires IHEs participating in federal student loan programs to make annual risk-sharing payments based on the non-repayment balance of student loan cohorts. It also outlines penalties for late or missing payments. For example, this section prohibits an IHE from offering direct loans to students if the IHE has not made a payment within 12 months of receiving a notification from ED. Alright. There's all that. Regulatory relief. You know they hate regulations. So stupid. Blah, blah, blah. Limitation on authority. Okay. The subtitle limits the authority of ED to propose or issue regulations and executive actions related to federal student aid programs. This section prohibits ED from issuing a proposed rule, final regulation, or executive action if ED determines that the rule, regulation, or action is economically significant and would result in an increase in a subsidy cost. Economically significant refers to a regulation or executive action that is likely to have an annual effect on the economy of $100 million or more, or adversely affect in a material way the economy, a sector of the economy, productivity, competition, jobs, the environment, you don't care about that, public health or safety, or state, local, or tribal governments or communities. Then they got energy up in here. Inflation Reduction Act. Bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. We love gas. We love fuel. Blah, blah, blah. Drill, baby, drill, I guess. Environment, because they care about that. Repeals and rescissions. You can read this at your leisure. I will put this in the show notes. Everything will be in the show notes. Unless I forget something from Diddy. Alright, EPA, blah blah blah. Emission standards. I mean, that's fine. I don't care. None of that means anything. Oh, AI systems. First thing in AI here. Primary purpose and effect of which is to remove legal impediments to facilitate the deployment or operation of, or consolidate administrative procedures in a manner that facilitates the adoption of AI models, AI systems, or automated decision systems. Disturbing. That does not impose substantive design, performance, data handling, documentation, civil liability, taxation, fee, or other requirements on AI models, AI systems, or automatic decision systems unless such requirements are imposed under federal law or are generally applicable to other models and systems that perform similar functions, or that imposes only fees and bonds that are reasonable and cost-based and treat other models and systems that perform similar functions in the same manner as AI models, AI systems, and automated decision systems. So that's disturbing. So we already have AI stuff in here, and then that becomes a real problem. And AI is defined here as a machine-based system that can, for a given set of human-defined objectives, make predictions, recommendations, or decisions influencing real or virtual environments. An AI model is a software component of an information system that implements AI technology and uses computational, statistical, or machine learning techniques to produce outputs from a defined set of inputs. An AI system is any data system, software, hardware, application tool, or utility that operates in whole or in part using AI. An automated decision system is any computational process derived from machine learning, statistical modeling, data analytics, or AI that issues a simplified output, e.g., a score, classification, or recommendation to materially influence or replace human decision making. So disturbing. Oh, here's the part about Medicaid. Let's see if there's anything bad in here. This section requires state Medicaid programs to check, beginning in 2028, the Social Security Administration's death master file on at least a quarterly basis to determine whether Medicaid enrollees are deceased. This section requires state Medicaid programs to check, beginning in 2028, as part of the provider enrollment and re-enrollment process, whether providers were terminated from participating in the Medicare program, any other state Medicaid program, or CHIP using certain databases, the data exchange system. The section requires states to continue to check these databases on at least a monthly basis after providers are enrolled. This section provides statutory authority for the requirement that state Medicaid programs check, as part of the provider enrollment and re-enrollment process, whether providers are deceased through the Social Security Administration's death master file. Beginning in 2028, the section requires states to continue to check this database on at least a quarterly basis after providers are enrolled. So basically, we're just making sure there's not a bunch of dead people in there. Okay. Then it says this act allows states to extend Medicaid coverage to all adults under the age of 65 with incomes of up to 138% of the federal poverty level, including able-bodied adults without dependent children, and it requires state Medicaid programs to redetermine every 6 months beginning in FY 2028 the eligibility of individuals who are enrolled in Medicaid as part of the Medicaid expansion population under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. So that's there. That affects me as well. I have Medicaid. This section reduces by 10% beginning in FY 2028 the enhanced federal matching rate for the Medicaid expansion population in states that provide comprehensive health benefits or financial assistance for purchasing health benefits to individuals who are not lawfully residing in the United States, regardless of the source of the benefits or financial assistance. And then preventing wasteful spending, Doge, and all that shit. Increasing personal accountability, but not for themselves, of course. Never for Congress people. Affordable Care Act. What's going on here? They're modifying enrollment coverage and other aspects of health insurance exchanges beginning in 2026, including prohibiting the mandate of special enrollment periods based on income, requiring a verification of income and other eligibility requirements prior to certain enrollments, and prohibiting coverage of gender transition procedures as an essential health benefit. And also, you should also know that that's not a real thing, because you can't transition your gender medically. That is impossible. You can do it with your sex. You can change your sex, but you can't change your gender physically and medically. That is quite not possible. So that's funny that that's even a term that is acceptable. But anyway, moving on. Improving Americans' access to care. Then this is the drug price thing I don't give a shit about, because I'm not on drugs and never will be, thankfully. But it's sad that all these people are. Committee on Financial Services. They're trying to fuck with the CFPB. Committee on Homeland Security. Oh yeah, this is going to tie into the next thing I'm going to bring up. The border stuff. We're getting to it. Don't worry. Committee on the Judiciary. Immigration stuff. Fees. Use of funds. Blah blah blah. Secret Service. Committee on Natural Resources. Geothermal. That's not disturbing. Mining. Yeah, you gotta do all that data mining. You gotta do the mining for the AI, you know. It's important. Miscellaneous. Offshore oil and gas leasing. Renewable energy. Federal lands. Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. FAA must submit a report to Congress every 90 days on these expenditures. Oh. Committee on Ways and Means. The one big beautiful bill. Make American families and workers thrive again. Permanently preventing tax hikes on American families and workers. This part makes permanent multiple individual federal tax provisions enacted in 2017 by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Below are some examples of provisions in this part. This section makes permanent the individual tax rates of 10%, 12%, 22%, 24%, 32%, 35%, and 37%. How about we just get rid of the taxes for everybody? That'd be nice. This section makes permanent the increased standard deduction and provides an additional increase in the standard deduction in the amount of $1,000 or $2,000 for joint filers and $1,500 for head of household through 2028. This section permanently repeals the allowance of a deduction for personal exemptions. This section makes multiple changes to the child tax credit. This section extends and increases to 23% from 20%. The tax deduction for qualified business income. This section increases the base estate tax. Shouldn't even have that. Gift tax and generation, skipping transfer tax exemption amount to $15 million from $5 million, adjusted for inflation. This section makes permanent the increased alternative minimum tax exemption amount and phase out threshold applicable to individuals, trusts, and estates. This section eliminates the itemized tax deduction for miscellaneous expenses. This section limits itemized tax deductions to 237 of the lesser of the total amount of itemized tax deductions calculated without regard to such limitation or the amount of a taxpayer's taxable income that extends the threshold for the 37% rate bracket. Additional tax relief for American families and workers. They're establishing a new above-the-line tax deduction through 2028 for qualified tip income for individuals whose earned income does not exceed a certain amount, $160,000 in 2025 and adjusted annually for inflation. This section establishes a new above-the-line tax deduction through 2028 for qualified overtime income for individuals whose earned income does not exceed a certain amount, $160,000 in 2025 and adjusted annually for inflation. This section establishes a new above-the-line tax deduction of up to $10,000 for interest paid on indebtedness incurred in 2025 through 2028 to buy a passenger vehicle for personal use. The tax deduction phases out for taxpayers with modified adjusted gross income that exceeds $100,000 or $200,000 for joint filers. This section expands the expenses eligible for tax-free withdrawals from qualified tuition programs to include certain additional expenses related to elementary, secondary, or homeschool education. This section expands the expenses eligible for tax-free withdrawals from 529 plans to include tuition fees, books, supplies, equipment, and other expenses related to the enrollment or attendance in a recognized post-secondary credentialing program. This section establishes a tax deduction of up to $150 or $300 for joint filers for charitable contributions by taxpayers who do not itemize their tax deductions. This section establishes a new type of, tax advantaged account called money accounts for growth and advancement. Of course it's called that. MAGA accounts for individuals under 8 years old. Up to $5,000 per year, adjusted for inflation, may be contributed to a MAGA account, not including, this is not real, certain rollovers, and distributions may be used for certain education-related expenses, small business expenses, and to buy a first-time home. Some limitations apply. This sounds like a fucking coupon or something. This section authorizes a one-time federal government deposit of $1,000 into a MAGA account for individuals born between 2025 and 2029 who meet certain other requirements. This is where we're at. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. So clearly they don't read these. Clearly they do not read the bills. And that's why it's a big bill, because it wants to shove everything in there. We'll just keep skipping. Make America win again. They don't read these. Removing taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants, of course. Can't forget that. Prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay. Increase in debt limit. This section increases the statutory debt limit by $4 trillion. More debt, yay. The debt limit is the amount of money, I know what it is, that the Department of the Treasury may borrow to fund federal operations. It's hilarious that, you know, the US government can spend however much money they want on things, but and not have to ever pay it back, but we do. It's so funny that. Anyway, that happened. There's some more stuff in there. The true text of it, you got to go over here and just have fun, I guess. I don't have fun reading these, but you know, some people do. You're into what you're into. Yeah, so you can read all of the fine print in that area. Boom, boom, boom. It's mainly just like, we made this thing, now we're adding this throughout, you know. This is being added, this is being added, this is being added, da da da. You see, that's what it is. Okay, on to the border thing. So another thing, the reason I titled this episode, I'm never going to France again. By the way, I went to France, it's amazing, I loved it. Enjoyed it so much. That happened last year, and I went last year because I knew I would probably never get to go again. And as it turns out, I was correct.
Third country nationals will soon be required to have their fingerprints scanned and their faces photographed on arrival in the European Union. The EU's digital border management system, known as the entry-exit system, will be launched gradually from autumn onwards.
With that system, Europe is actually putting in place the most technologically advanced border management system in the whole world. The new system we're putting in place is designed to work together and will also improve the effectiveness and efficiency also of border checks at external borders, and helping us at the end of the day to detect and also to prevent criminal and terrorist offences.
On the one hand, this electronic system will make it easier for individuals to prove that they are legally on European soil, as stamps on passports can be wrong or illegible. On the other, it could pose data protection risks, according to the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights.
And when we look at the fundamental rights being impacted, we have, of course, the most obvious one, the data protection principles, which need to be assured. But then we have much more, also human dignity, the rights of the child. So, for example, the entry-exit system, while the fingerprints only need to be taken as of the age of 12, for facial images, there's no age limit. So even babies will need to provide their facial images into the ES.
The entry-exit system is expected to make border crossings smoother.
I think the big fear that the tourism industry have about the entry-exit system is its implementation. When it's up and running, I think it should go fairly smoothly, but there's going to be quite a slow process obtaining everyone's fingerprints and photographs. But once that's established, I think things will go a bit more smoothly than we hope.
This is just the first step. Starting late 2025 or 2026, travelers from 59 visa-exempt countries must get ETIAS authorization prior to visiting the EU.
Oh.
Hello, guys and gals.
Shut up. Nobody asked. Okay. So nothing creepy about that. I'm glad that they went over, like, I have never watched this before, so we watched it together. I'm glad they went over, like, the bad parts of it. Like, it wasn't just like, look at this is what we're doing, this is it, the end of the video. There are implications, and they know what they're doing. It's all for the reason of destroying privacy, which has basically already happened. And in airports, I can attest that they're already using facial recognition. I had to subject myself to it last time, even in Canada. And so it's very unfortunate what's happening with travel. And I think the real way of keeping this from becoming normalized is to not travel, to say, fuck you, I'm never going to France again, I'm never going to UK again after ETIAS. Like, it's just, no, we're not going to do that. You can't just make us do this shit. They can't make us get a real ID either, which is another thing that they're trying to do right now. But let's get, like, an update on that, in case you haven't heard of the real ID. It's some bullshit, but that's in the US, because nobody is different. They're all doing the same thing.
Happening tomorrow, it's a deadline to have a real ID to fly within the U.S. But for those who waited, yes, we have a bit of good news. If you have a flight coming up in the next few days, NBC4's Gordon Tucumasi joins us live from the DMV in Van Nuys. Gordon, give us that good news.
Well, Annabelle, that good news is coming from the Department of Homeland Security. There is now a grace period in effect for your real ID, even if you don't make tomorrow's deadline. But these folks have been waiting in line, some of them for hours here, and they are not going anywhere.
Now serving B052.
It's what you don't really want to hear at the DMV on a day like today, but you have to listen anyway. Now, what's your number?
G222.
Oh, you're in the 200s.
Yeah, they're on G136, I think, right now. So.
Stephanie Archibald, one of millions of Americans, unburdening herself of an annoying task today, applying in person for a real ID. Like many here at the extra-crowded Van Nuys Department of Motor Vehicles, she's hoping hers will arrive in the mail as soon as possible.
I have a family reunion in Oklahoma in 3 weeks. So all of a sudden I went, oh no.
Very soon, all domestic air travel, like a flight to Oklahoma, will require a real ID, along with access to many federal buildings and facilities like military bases.
Okay, that's bullshit, by the way. They keep telling you you need it. If you have a passport, you do not need real ID. I got a passport so that I could bypass this whole fucking thing. But as it turns out, obviously, they're still doing all this border control, facial recognition bullshit, and extra shit that we shouldn't be doing in the first place. But the bad thing about it is it's a biometric passport. There's no getting around that. There's biometrics everywhere. It's what we're dealing with. But yeah, you don't need to get a real ID though.
After decades of delays,
I am 19.
The feds have finally implemented the program that younger adults like Karen Montez have been putting off most of their lives. This thing actually went into law a year before you were born.
Really? Wow.
And her situation is something you should know about, even if you only plan to fly overseas. In a couple of weeks, she's going to Colombia, but not from LA.
It's kind of a connection, so I need to be in Florida, and then from Florida to Colombia.
Without her real ID, the LA to Florida portion of that flight could get pretty challenging. So what if you miss tomorrow's deadline? Don't fret, says the Department of Homeland Security. You can still fly domestically for a while, but TSA agents will likely pull you out of line for extra scrutiny. Jude Bakunawa.
Here's some more stuff about the real ID. I'm going to wrap it up really soon. I didn't realize I had taken so long on the big beautiful bill, but it's very important that we talk about those provisions, because not everybody's doing that, and they're just being like, Trump, Trump, oh no. And it's more than that. There's an agenda being unleashed on the public, and we can't have that.
Wraps up, thousands are flying in and out of Portland International. It is the first major travel weekend with Real ID now in full effect. Let's check in with Ariel Salk. She's live at PDX, tracking the crowds at this 4 o'clock hour. Hey, Ariel.
Hi, so earlier today, this line through TSA was pretty light. At one point, I counted maybe a couple of people, but as of right now, it's really filling up. On this Memorial Day, people arriving and departing from PDX. Throughout the 3-day weekend, Portland International Airport anticipated seeing more than 200,000 travelers.
It was pretty busy. Denver was pretty busy, and we'll just say Portland is a far superior airport.
How was the travel?
A little crowded. You know, I think with the new airport, I'm used to having a little bit more room, but the TSA did a good job moving us through.
This is the first major holiday since the new Real ID requirements took effect.
Here, they mentioned the Real ID, and I'm like, hey, I have my passport.
Do you have your Real ID, and was that an issue?
No, I don't have my Real ID, but I did get my passport renewed.
Just before the deadline for the new Real ID requirements, Homeland Security Chief announced travelers with no Real ID can fly, but are likely to face extra security.
In Denver, they didn't ask for my passport even, and it was shockingly easy that I didn't get like stopped or frisked or anything, or whatever the Real ID, whatever the extra security measures are, right? But it was simple.
I do know that they just kind of give you a pamphlet and a slap on the wrist. They're like, don't do that again. Make sure you bring your ID this time.
We reached out to the TSA asking about ID screenings. In a statement, they said, in part, we are actively managing wait times and prioritizing operational flexibility, such as screening procedures will be tailored to each individual airport. So if you don't have your Real ID, you still want to come to the airport with additional identification like your passport or military ID, and you want to show up early in case you are pulled aside for additional screening. Reporting live at PDX, Ariel Salk, Coin 6 News.
All right, and then we have finally something that has people like, what? Which is correct, the correct response.
Well, it feels like we've been telling you about it forever, but the rubber is about to meet the road when it comes to Real ID.
That's right. Exactly 1 week from today, you're going to need it to do things like fly across the country. But as Fox 5's Duarte Geraldino shows us, not everyone's ready, and some states are pushing back.
After years of warnings, Real ID is finally here. Starting May 7th, you'll need a Real ID, a passport, or another secure ID to board a domestic flight. The goal is safer IDs after 9/11, but nearly 20 years later, a lot of Americans still are not ready.
Well, people wait till the last minute to do things, and I said, well, they brought it out, so let me just go ahead and do this. I ain't got to worry about another 3-4 years down the road, and that's it.
Will Andrews lives in New Jersey and got his Real ID years ago, but many in his state have not. A CBS News analysis found states like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maine, and Washington all have less than 30% compliance. New Jersey ranks dead last, just 17%.
Based. Good for you. Keep not complying. It doesn't get normalized unless you comply.
Across much of the country, millions still don't have a Real ID. It's not just procrastination, there's real pushback. In Maine, leaders fought Real ID for years over privacy concerns. Some are still trying to opt out entirely. Elsewhere, people say it's confusing, expensive, and inconvenient.
If you go and try to get it at the DMV, read the documentation because it's so specific what you need to bring with you.
To get a Real ID, you must bring documents proving identity, legal presence, state residency, social security number. That's in addition to your current driver's license. Boro Johnson is heading to Newark Airport. He's relieved he already has his Real ID.
About 6 years, 7 years.
Which state are you from? Because New York, I don't know, people don't have.
Massachusetts.
Now the scramble is on. DMVs across the country are reporting long lines, some booked through the summer. And even if you manage to get an appointment, remember, these Real IDs, they have to be mailed to you. So you could be waiting for weeks to get yours.
Starting May 7th, no Real ID or passport means extra TSA screening, and you could miss your flight. TSA warns, expect longer waits, delays, and frustration. After 2 decades of delays, this time, it's happening. At Penn Station, Duarte Geraldino, Fox 5 News.
Better call our sources at the DMV, get them on quick.
I still gotta get mine.
So much propaganda. It's insane, guys. Well, this is all leading somewhere. Let's see where this is leading. Because it's really just, they said that they were going to do the metaverse, right? And the WEF agenda and everything. But then it turns out, like, they don't have to do that. They don't have to build a virtual world that we all reside in. Because we already reside in a virtual world. Surprise. So many things can be faked now, videos, and that's going to continue because that's the future we're in, and it started already, and AI is going to take over, and I'm trying to warn you guys, please do not use AI. I know you want to be lazy sometimes, you don't want to look something up. I will never ever look something up with AI, because sometimes they aren't even fucking right, because people suck, and they made it, and now they're learning from people and sources online that are already faking information, and it's just going to spread more fake information. That's what happens when there's no actual authority, which is all the point of the trusted news initiatives and all these things, which are saying trust CNN, trust MSNBC, trust Fox News, or whatever. Probably not Fox News, Washington Post, New York Times. Trust all these news programs and outlets, and don't trust Joe Rogan. Don't trust all these podcasts and these other people, RFK Jr., all of these other supposed authorities who don't really know what's going on. Well, I say don't trust anyone, and I say use your fucking brain. And use critical thinking. That's what you need to fucking do. Or we're gonna keep sliding into this dystopian shithole that will be where we can't verify anything. So let's see how that's going. Let's get an update with this creepy ass video.
Hello, humans. I am Dr. Chip Motherboard, a totally real robotics expert. I am definitely not AI.
Okay, yeah, Chip is definitely AI. And I'm the real me, controlling that AI character. The film you're about to see, including Chip and all the other visuals, were created with AI video tools, including Google VO3. Most of the audio is also AI, except for my narrations. So stick around to the end to see how we did it. And action.
Rise and shine, Joanna. It's 6:15 a.m. It's going to be a great day. Oh, you'll feel better after a workout. I've sanitized your sports bra.
Thank you. I got Optimax 5000 to make my life better. It has me waking up early,
Here's a tasty breakfast.
eating healthy, and working out harder than I ever thought I could.
Remember, Jane Fonda always said, go for the burn, sweat. Get that chin up. That all you got? Pick up the pace.
I'm with a lead engineer on the Optinax 5000 robots. We designed them to optimize workplace efficiency.
Here's some deep research for your presentation.
And the robots really got creative with that.
Time for your coffee IV drip.
Max really keeps me sharp at work.
Do you not know how to spell February? Put the R before you.
Though now that I think about it, he's not usually the nicest.
Pop music rots your brain.
He's really becoming a lot. And there's really only one place I go to get a break from him.
My privacy policy prevents bathroom entry. My ultra-sensitive microphones indicate you are not engaged in elimination activities.
And that's when I realized I had to do something.
don't do this.
Sun creeps in through the window pane.
Good morning, Joanna. I made you your favorite breakfast.
Now that's more like it. Real me again, not Botox me, not video game me, not Ashley Judd me, and not zero gravity me. And those were actually the best of what we got. Roll the bloopers. So yeah, lots of issues. But we wanted to push the limits of AI video. We wanted to make a film with characters and humor and meaning. Art even. Enter Gerard Cole. Gerard is a long...
I just want to say, looking at that, the way I looked at that, I didn't want to laugh once, and it just was soul crushing. So if you were going for humor, it didn't work. It just reminded us how replaceable we are and how art is dying. Thanks, Joanna.
Longtime video and audio producer. To get the consistency right, he generated approximately 1,000 clips to make what you just watched. And after trying lots of AI video tools, we found Google VO and Runway to be the best. Yes, in VO or Runway, we could have typed in a woman and a robot working out and gotten something. And even though she looks exactly like me, with that simple technique, we wouldn't have been able to make those characters consistent in every scene. And by the way, these clips and the sounds you hear were generated with VO3, Google's latest model that combines visuals and audio. Our film is actually a mix of shots from both VO2, VO3, and Runway. Let's dissect this scene to see how we did it. First, we had to create and gather our characters. We used Midjourney to design our star, Optimax 5000. It took a few iterations. To create me, we gathered some photos, and the neighborhood was made in Runway. Then we took these images of the characters and the background and put them into Runway's references tool and wrote a prompt describing the scene we wanted. Out came the first frame of the scene. Then we fed that image into Google VO and wrote a new prompt to create the motion. And then we picked the best version that AI generated. For some shots that didn't have characters, like in our suspense scene at the end, we used text-to-video prompts in VO3. And if you're wondering how we made this handsome fella, we used an image generator to create our ideal mad scientist. Then I did my best impression of how I thought he'd gesture and sound like on camera. Designed them to optimize workplace efficiency. And we uploaded the image and the video of me into Runway Restyle. Once we had the clips, we brought them into Adobe Premiere for editing and sound.
Max's voice.
And Chip's voice
were generated in 11 labs. The AI audio tool lets you describe the voices you want, or even clone your own. But I recorded my own character because 11 labs couldn't quite get my inflection right. Go away. And that song you hear at the end of the film? Made with Suno, an AI music generator. And yes, the script was written by us humans, not AI. We estimate the total cost would have been around $1,000 for Google and Runway's tools. We paid for some of it, and the companies gave us special access to the rest. So why did we put ourselves through all of this? Well, AI isn't perfect, but if we were making this in real life, we would have needed a crew and a much bigger budget. These tools are improving scarily fast, but they're nothing without human input, creativity, and original ideas. As the film hopefully reminded you, we are not robots. Unlike this guy says, I love robots. I love robots so much.
So there's a little bit of like propaganda in there, and also like, hey, you know what, we're just testing the limits, and you know, we want to show you how shitty it is. Yeah, but you sure did go to a lot of trouble to do that. And so then that leads us to, you know, there's always somebody coming out like who created AI or did something in AI, and they're like, hey, you know what, we're heading towards a weird future, bad dystopian society, da-da-da. And it looks like we got a little interview about that here. And I think we'll end here, and then we'll play a really good song to phase out the episode, to end the episode. I don't care that he got a Nobel Prize. There we go.
I dreamt about winning one for figuring out how the brain works.
Yeah.
But I didn't figure out how the brain works. But I won one anyway.
That's because Hinton's attempt to model the brain instead helped change the world. In 1986, he proposed using a neural network to predict the next word in a sequence, the foundational concept that today's large language models
It's an expert at everything.
have built upon. You believe then that we would get here?
Yes, but not this soon.
Because that was 40 years.
I didn't think we'd get here in only 40 years.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, I didn't believe we'd get here.
It happened fast.
Yeah.
That speed, Hinton says, means...
By the way, it happened fast because it's been happening behind closed doors all of this time, and they probably had all of these tools at least 30 years in advance of now.
Education and medicine will soon be transformed. Climate change could be solved. But mostly, the rapid progress really worries him.
How the fuck is climate change going to be solved when you have so much mining and so many data centers? Make it make sense.
The best way to understand it emotionally is we're like somebody who has this really cute tiger cub. It's just such a cute tiger cub. Unless you can be very sure that it's not going to want to kill you when it's grown up, you should worry. I'm kind of glad I'm 77.
Hinton predicts AI will make authoritarians more oppressive and hackers more effective. He now spreads his money across 3 banks. The exact odds of an AI apocalypse are unknowable, he says, but hazards this guess: a 10 to 20% risk AI will take over from humans.
People haven't got it yet. People haven't understood what's coming. I don't think there's a way of stopping it to take control if it wants to. The issue is, can we design it in such a way that it never wants to take control, that it's always benevolent?
Those concerns have long been shared by other AI leaders. Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
It can be very harmful if deployed wrongly.
Ex-AI's Elon Musk, who continues to call for regulation.
That has the potential of civilizational destruction.
Sam Altman, seen here before he became OpenAI's CEO.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world.
But now, as these...
Yeah, but let's keep making it and training it and using it and just hope for the best. We're just going to hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, let's profit off of it, even though it's bad. That's companies, that's corporations, that's life.
Companies race each other and compete with China. Hinton worries they're foolishly, selfishly, putting all of humanity at risk.
If you look at what the big companies are doing right now, they're lobbying to get less AI regulation. There's hardly any regulation as it is, but they want less, because they want short-term profits.
Taking a stand against the establishment has been the hallmark of Hinton's life. When American AI funding required partnering with the Defense Department, he moved to Canada. When neural networks were laughed at as unworkable, he worked on them for a few decades more.
Is that a certain thing in a person?
Yeah. You have to be contrarian.
Yeah.
You have to have a deep belief that everybody else could be doing things wrong and you can figure out how to do them right.
Any idea where that came from?
My family, partly. My father was like that. That's him there.
Hinton's legendary family tree includes not just his father, the prominent entomologist, but further back, George Boole, whose algebra innovations paved the way for computing, and George Everest, the surveyor who found the height of the world's tallest peak, then had it named after him.
So it hit there.
Hinton's inheritance was a curious mechanic's mind.
Were you always interested in this kind of stuff, the way things work and how to fix them?
Absolutely. I loved it.
When one of our cameras fell, damaging a lens filter, Hinton wanted to fix it.
This kind of tinkering, was this desire important to your work, or is this just a hobby?
No, this is a similar thing. When I would make neural net models on the computer, I would then tinker with them for a long time to find out how they behaved. And a lot of people didn't do much of that, but I loved tinkering with them.
Okay.
I remember with Elle, we used to watch it learning, and we would have bets for like 25 cents on who could predict the new score best.
Ilya Sutskever, Hinton's most famous protege, went on to be chief scientist at OpenAI.
To just set up a large neural network, which is a large digital brain.
In 2023, he was part of the group that pushed out CEO Sam Altman, reportedly because they didn't trust that Altman was prioritizing safety.
I was quite proud of him for firing Sam Altman, even though it was very naive.
Naive, Hinton says, because OpenAI employees were about to get millions of dollars that would be jeopardized by Altman's departure. Altman returned, Sutskever left. Hinton criticizes his former colleagues at Google more reluctantly, but says they're falling short too.
Were you disappointed when Google went back on its promise not to support military uses of AI?
Very disappointed.
But it's part of a pattern, Hinton says, adding Meta and xAI to the list of companies racing faster than they should.
For example, the fraction of their computer time they spend on safety research should be a significant fraction, like a third. Right now, it's much, much less.
Hinton, now on the AI sidelines, says government regulation is needed, but doesn't expect it soon.
I'm curious if just in your normal day-to-day life you despair. You fear for the future and assume it won't be so good.
I don't despair, but mainly because even I find it very hard to take it seriously. It's very hard to get your head around the fact that we're at this very, very special point in history where in a relatively short time, everything might totally change, a change of a scale we've never seen before. It's hard to absorb that emotionally.
We asked the AI labs mentioned in the piece how much of their compute is used for safety research. None of them gave us a specific number, but all have said safety is important, and they support regulation in general, but they've mostly opposed regulations that have come up before lawmakers so far.
Did he indicate which sector the breach might technically happen?
Well, like he says, he's already worried about banks. He thinks banks are going to be a target. He has spread his money across different banks.
Oh, wow. All right. It's a little scary, Brooke, but great reporting. Thank you so much. Did you get the lens fixed on the camera?
The lens is fixed.
All right. Nobel Prize winner in action.
On that note, we're going to end the episode with an oldie but a goodie, and one that I think is pretty resonant right now. Not the video, because it's horrifying. No, thank you. Let's do a lyric video, yes. That sounds good. Thank you so much for watching and listening and all that jazz, and just be aware of what's going on. That's all I have to say. And I hope you guys are vigilant. And I didn't get to the war stuff, but I guess we'll do a real quick update there. Hey, Trump says Gaza's deal is very close. An announcement may come as soon as today or tomorrow. So we're all good. It's fine. Everything is fine. Well, now we got a Syria strike. That's unfortunate. Anyway, yeah, that's the update on that. Shit sucks. Keeps sucking. But yeah, AI will take care of everything and fix everything. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. Have a good night and sleep well if you can.